So imagine if you're a billionaire, obviously everybody around you constantly is just yesing you to death because they live off of and depend upon your largesse. You're near a billionaire, you're funding probably hundreds, if not thousands of people's jobs. And one of those billionaires is Mark Cuban, who's the founder of AOL, or the co-founder of AOL back in the 1990s. That's where he made his first fortune, and then he bought the Dallas Mavericks. And he's worth $8 or $10 billion, turned himself into a celebrity and a public figure by owning the Dallas Mavericks, did a, by all accounts, good job, brought them an NBA championship. But what happened was he stuck his head up on X in order to defend DEI, which are the diversity, equality, and inclusion programs that corporations have adopted and academia has adopted and media has adopted, basically to say that we're only going to hire people who meet our racial and ethnic and gender quotas. So we're only going to hire more black people for these jobs, or more Latino people, or more women, but not white men. And obviously it's created a lot of anger among a lot of people, not just white people, but a lot of people who find it offensive. And Mark Cuban appeared on Twitter to respond to Elon Musk, who was criticizing his programs, in order to defend them. And when he defended them, he heard a lot of people, thousands of them, vehemently denouncing his ideas, which is exactly what you want billionaires to have to be exposed to, given their extraordinary power, not just financial power, but political power. And he, as a result, went on a campaign where he suddenly began whining that Elon Musk and X allow unique levels of hate speech, unlike any other platform, because they don't censor enough. Here's what he said in an interview on February 6th, which was a couple of days ago, about his experience on Twitter.
Now, social media has changed. It's no longer social. And since Twitter became X, I mean, like I was telling you, Yasmin, like when I get Jew ban, I get you're not white, you're Jewish. I get tell the Jew to shut the fuck up. And I just bookmark them. Twitter has become just a cesspool for hate. And so trying to go there and change people's mind, I mean, I've seen people try, and then everybody just gangs up. And Instagram, just people avoid it. And then same with LinkedIn, it's just not that platform. Social media, I don't see as being that place. I think you've got to go face to face. I'd rather, that's why when I have these conversations, I go where I know people are going to disagree with me. Whether it's DEI or whatever.
Imagine being worth $8 billion. Just think about what $8 billion is for a second, because sometimes I think that these numbers are so abstract, they are difficult to process. So imagine you have $10 million. For most people, that's an extraordinary amount of money. And then you multiply that by 10. So now you have 10 of those $10 million. You're only up to 100 million. You then have to multiply it by 10 again. Now you have $100 million, stacks of $100 million. You have to multiply it by 10. You have 10 of those in front of you. Only then do you get to $1 billion. He has 8 of those stacks. $8 billion. It's obviously more money than you can ever spend in your lifetime. I remember when we founded The Intercept, and the person who was funding it was the multi-billionaire who founded eBay, Pierre Omidyar. And he gave an interview and he announced, over the course of several years, I'm going to devote $250 million to this new media company. Not only to The Intercept, but he wanted to create a media company and did that had a lot of other different components to it. And the media went wild, like, oh my God, he's going to spend $250 million on this new media outlet, which was the same price Jeff Bezos had just paid for the Washington Post, $250 million. And I remember early on talking to his chief financial officer when we were creating The Intercept, and he said to me, it's so funny, the media reacted to Pierre Omidyar saying he's going to spend $250 million when, for someone who's worth $8 billion, it's like pocket change. Just by having $8 billion, you make $1 billion every year from interest, from return on investments, very safe investments. Like $250 million, you don't even notice. But that's the scale of the kind of level of financial power that then turns into political power that people like Mark Cuban have. And imagine amassing that level of wealth and that level of power and then going on an interview in front of cameras and whining about the fact that social media enables people to criticize you, and sometimes criticize you in ways that you think are unfair or is too harsh. And he singled out X because he has been getting into conflicts with Elon Musk. But this is a common accusation against X, that by allowing free speech, there's a overflow of all sorts of hate speech and disinformation. And I saw this, and what happened here was incredibly obvious to me. I had seen it many times. It was the dynamic I just explained. And I tweeted the following, quote, "Elites of all kind have been whining that social media platforms are, quote, full of hatred since social media existed. That X is somehow uniquely fostering hate speech is solely because Musk refuses to censor as much, and because of Mark Cuban's anger that he's not universally adored here." And over my tweet, he posted the following. He said, "We disagree. It's not about censorship. I've never asked for censorship. It's about hate speech, crowding out people who don't want to be where hate is. And if I wanted to be adored, this is not the place to go, LOL." And that's what he's saying. He's saying he's not going to use X anymore. He prefers Threads, because Threads or LinkedIn, or I guess Instagram, is a place where people disagree peacefully. Have you ever looked at a Threads argument? There have been media reports claiming that Threads has hate speech on it. People block comments all the time on Instagram because they're mauled by all. This is human nature. This is not causing hate, social media. It's reflecting how people respond. And in particular, they respond especially to powerful people, and they don't treat them deferentially. And these powerful people interpret that as some kind of moral crime. He then went on. And if I wanted to be adored, this is not the place to go, LOL. Despite Elon Musk being a nonstop joyride of positivity to me, question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. And while I'm sorry, those are emojis. It's a laughing emoji, like he made a big joke, like, haha, Elon Musk is a joyride of positivity toward me. And while social media as a whole may reflect the world, this platform certainly does not. It's not only become an echo chamber, in many cases it's hard to know whether a post is originated by a bot. I've been active here for a long time. The nature of conversations in my replies and shown to me has changed considerably, including many people who used to be active here rarely are no longer posting. I think it's because the algorithm is designed to reward the largest account and those who, particularly paying users, who engage with it. To some, that is a huge positive. To me, the platform would be better served if Elon kept on posting but removed himself from the algo. His posts influence what the entire site sees. Removing them from the algorithm would democratize the site considerably. Every entrepreneur makes their own decisions, and time tell if they are right or wrong, so we will see. Now, you heard what he said. Did it have anything to do with that much more selfless and high-minded point about which would better serve how well X does in the future? No. He was whining and complaining that so many people were cursing at him and hurling invective at him. Now, what is amazing about this is if you go and look at anybody who is even in the public eye a little bit, people who have nothing to do with politics, people who write about food or TV or sports or culture, they get just as attacked with invective. In fact, I have never seen the kind of invective that tennis players get on Instagram or other athletes get on Instagram, largely from people who bet on them, like bettors who just bet all day bet their paycheck on competitive sports competitions. And when they lose, they go to these tennis players' sites and they just heap immense amounts of scorn on them. Just the most hateful things you've ever seen. I mean, bile spewing, like accusing them of being drug addicts and cheating and fixing and losing on purpose because they're paid to lose, just like intense rage. And there's this new podcast called the Changeover Podcast, which is by and about tennis players who are ranked 300 in the world or 500 in the world, 800 in the world. They basically make no money. They find ways to get money to go around the world and play in tournaments, but they don't ever climb up the rankings to make a lot of money. They're poor. Basically, they're just grinding on the lower levels of the tennis tour. And they get a lot of this invective and hatred too. And here was 3 of these tennis players, or 4 of them, all ranked in the very low end of the ranking, making no money, talking about the hate they get on Instagram when they lose, and just listen to the difference in their attitude about the hatred they get compared to what Mark Cuban was whining about when he went on that interview.
All right, we have a few Instagram questions. So the first one is from Henry. How do you handle the pressure and expectations from being a rising star? Do you even feel like you have?
I don't know if I handle it or not. I have no idea. I don't know. I guess I don't take input from what other people think. I think that it's a internal struggle to try and be as good as you can. So when I think about my goals, I think there's like zero of it is predicated on how other people expect me to do or how other people want me to do. I think it's all an internal drive. So if I don't do well, then I'm kind of like, oh, it sucks, I didn't do well, but I must have done something not good enough. Or if I do well, then it's like, that's great that I did something well and I can keep on going. But I don't think that any of it is based on how other people think.
Okay.
Even though there's a lot of Instagram haters out there. I kind of like
quite a lot today.
Evan's phone went crazy today.
Yeah,
no way.
Got a lot today.
Yeah, in the close matches, sometimes it's just brutal.
No, I think they gave up on me. I don't get that many anymore.
The best are the ones when they're like, they hate you and they start cussing you out, and then their friend like hops on, like, yeah, like this guy, blah, blah, blah. And then you actually end up like winning. And so it's like, you were up like 5-2 and now it's like 5-6. You suck, like quit tennis forever. And then the guy's like, let's go, you won the set. Like, it's like one thing later, you're sitting there like scrolling on your phone like, wow, these people are insane.
We had a funny one today. I didn't tell you. The funny one today was, so on the Instagram page, so we have a partnership with Pro Stringer. So Ruben Statham is who owns Pro Stringer, I guess. So like a couple weeks ago, I guess he lost a match, and we have like on Instagram we have a collab with Pro Stringer on one of our posts. So I see like, oh, Ruben Statham so trash, blah 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 blah, talking about Ruben Statham, and I guess I wasn't paying attention. Normally I delete them, but I just didn't delete this one. And then today you played. And then they came to the same post and the same response and said, also, Evan's just trash too. So 2 people getting burned on the same post. I was like,
the double whammy on the post that's not even.
That's 2 birds, 1 stone.
Yeah.
That's so funny. And people that like don't understand it, like some of, like even like family friends sometimes.
All right, so they're laughing about it. They're saying, haha, these people are insane. They come and hurl the most disgusting invective at us. And these are like poor tennis players who make no money. And Mark Cuban is whining endlessly about the unfair treatment he gets on X. And again, it's really because, and I've seen this dynamic so many times before, that people who are media elites or political elites or financial elites think that they're supposed to be treated by the public the way the people they surround themselves with treat them. And when they find that they express opinions and people get angry at them, they really think some kind of moral crime has been committed, that there's something wrong with social media, that there's something wrong with journalism, with the internet. And I told you, I've seen journalists for so long. Before the internet, think about what it was like to be a corporate journalist. You worked at the New York Times, you worked at ABC News. You never heard any criticisms from the public for anything that you did. The most you got was like a letter to the editor to the New York Times that would criticize an article, and they would throw it into the garbage and laugh at it. Excuse me. And so it's easy to understand why people like this would end up hating the internet, because for the first time they actually had to hear criticisms from the public. This is what's behind the drive to control the internet, to censor social media, are people like this who can't stand the fact that they have to hear criticism. And for me, that's the biggest benefit of internet era journalism, is that you do have to hear from people telling you that you're wrong, telling you that you're biased, telling you that you're terrible. And even if it sometimes goes onto the edge of excess or invective or hatefulness, it's nonetheless the case that overall it's much healthier to err on the side of having our most powerful elites hear more criticisms rather than less or none. Thanks for watching this clip from System Update, our live show that airs every Monday through Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern exclusively on Rumble. You can catch the full nightly shows live or view the backlog of episodes for free on our Rumble page. You can also find full episodes the morning after they air across all major podcasting platforms, including Spotify and Apple. All the information you need is linked below. We hope to see you there.